What if, right this second, with absolutely no warning, the sun just vanished? It's a pretty wild thought, right? But thinking it through actually tells us some incredible things about physics, biology, and what it really means to be alive. So let's dive in and see what would happen, moment by moment.
It's the big one, isn't it? The ultimate survival question. If our star just winked out of existence, how long would we have? A few days? An hour? Maybe just a few minutes? Well, the real answer is a whole lot weirder and way more specific than you'd probably guess. Get this. For a full 8.5 minutes, you wouldn't even know it was gone. Seriously. You'd still feel the warmth of its last rays on your skin, you'd see the sky just as blue as ever, life would be completely, totally normal. So, why the delay? What's going on in those 8.5 minutes? Okay, so this little window of time, it's not some kind of cosmic grace period. It's really more like an echo. It's the travel time for the very last bits of information from the sun, both its light and its gravity, to make that long journey across space and finally reach us here on Earth. Yep, that's what it breaks down to. 510 seconds. That's how long it takes for the last little photons, the very particles of light, to finish their trip to our eyeballs. And during that whole time, we are just blissfully unaware that our star is already gone. But here's where it gets really mind-bending. It's not just about the light. For centuries, we all figured gravity was instantaneous. You know, like a rope? If you cut it, the other end knows right away. But Einstein came along and showed us that's not how it works at all. Gravity actually travels in waves through space at the exact same speed as light. So, you put that all together, and for 510 seconds, the Earth would keep on cruising in its perfect orbit around nothing, around a point in space where the sun used to be. We'd literally be held in place by the gravity of a ghost with no idea of the chaos that was about to hit us. And then, it's over. The 8.5 minutes are up. The last photon hits your eye, the last gravitational wave washes past us. And in one single silent moment, everything changes forever. And it's not a gradual thing, not a slow fade. The end of the sun's influence is an abrupt, cosmic 1-2 punch. Two massive events that happen at the very same instant. So bam! Two things happen simultaneously. First, the sky just goes black. I mean, not nighttime dark, but a deep, profound, star-filled blackness we have never experienced. And at that exact same moment, snap, the sun's gravitational leash is cut. The Earth breaks its orbit and just flies off into the void, traveling in a perfectly straight line. And that's our new speed. 18 miles every single second. That's over 60,000 miles an hour. We are officially a rogue planet, just hurling through the cold, dark emptiness of interstellar space. So, from down here on the ground, what would you actually see? Well, the moon would disappear about 2 seconds later, because that's the last of the sunlight bouncing off it. But the stars, they'd still be there, shining bright. And for a little while anyway, our cities would stay lit up. Just a tiny flicker of defiance in this brand new, permanent night. Now, the immediate physics of it all are pretty dramatic, but there's a slower and frankly more devastating catastrophe that's just getting started. Without the sun, the actual engine of life on our planet would just grind to a halt, and that would kick off a total biological collapse. Yeah, photosynthesis. It's that thing we all learned about back in science class. But it's easy to forget that pretty much every single food chain on Earth starts right here, with a plant turning sunlight into energy. And if you take away the sunlight, that whole process stops instantly. And the dominoes would start to fall pretty quick. Small plants would be gone in a matter of days. Now, bigger trees, they've got some reserves they could hang on for years, maybe even decades. But without that bottom layer of the food chain, everything above it is completely doomed. So the plant eaters would starve first. Then the meat eaters who prey on them would follow. Scavengers might actually do pretty well for a little while, with all the, dead stuff around, but their fate is sealed too, not just by the lack of food, but by another even bigger threat that's on its way. Without the sun constantly blasting us with warmth, the Earth would immediately start losing its heat to the freezing vacuum of space. Our planet would start to turn into a giant ice ball, and it would happen shockingly fast. In just 1 week, the average temperature across the globe would drop to freezing. Within a single year, it would be a bone-chilling minus 150 degrees Fahrenheit. And eventually, things would settle down on around minus 400 degrees, which is cold enough to literally freeze the air solid.
So, the surface of the Earth would be a completely uninhabitable wasteland of ice. The oceans would freeze over, creating this thick, protective crust that's miles deep. But, underneath all of that ice, something amazing happens.
Just when you think it's all over, we find out that life is way more stubborn than we ever could have imagined. In the deepest, darkest corners of our world, there's a place where the sun's absence wouldn't even be noticed.
You see, the Earth has its own internal furnace, its molten core. And all that geothermal energy escapes through vents on the ocean floor, creating these little pockets of superheated, nutrient-rich water. Even with miles of ice on top, this heat from below would keep the deep oceans liquid.
And this leads to maybe the most profound part of this whole thought experiment. The creatures that live around these geothermal vents, the strange bacteria, the tube worms, all those weird deep-sea fish, they would be completely unaffected. As one scientist perfectly put it, they would be the only living beings not to notice any difference. Their entire world is built on chemical energy from the Earth itself, not energy from the sun.
So that means, while all life on the surface would be gone, life in the deep ocean could just keep going. For billions of years, our frozen rogue planet could drift through the darkness of space, carrying this secret ocean just teeming with life that never needed a star to begin with.
And that just leaves us with this huge, fascinating question. For all of human history, we've searched for life on planets that are orbiting other suns. But what if some of life's greatest strongholds aren't on those worlds at all? What if they're on dark, wandering planets, thriving on the heat from within? It completely changes how we think about where and even how we should be looking for life out there in the universe.